are we? There we are. What's going on, folks? We'll just wait. It is dark. It is darker than usual in here, it seems like. I'm also not at my house. I'm at the gym. We're in here. We're just going to wait for some more people to come in. We are talking all things X-Men 97, episode 8. I mean, we can obviously talk about other episodes, but let's talk about yesterday's episode, episode 8. We're here to this is a communal group chat regarding episode 8. At any point, drop something in the chat. We'll chat about it. Claude, nice of you to make it. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Yeah, this is a communal chat. The more that people can add in, the better this just is, right? Because I don't remember everything / I don't know everything. So this will be good. We'll just wait another minute or two for some people to roll in, and then we'll just go from there. Even if there's no one else that rolls in, totally fine. Hopefully, everyone's having a good day. It's kind of cold, but kind of not cold. I don't know, it's just gloomy where I am right now. Hopefully the weather's not too bad where you are. Hopefully you're not I know the Midwest. Mo, what's up? We missed you last week. I missed a lot of people last week. Last week was much less than usual. But I'm glad you're here, my guy. I'm glad you can make it. I just love having you here because 1, you're awesome, but 2, your takes on things obviously different from my perspective, and I love hearing them from yours, because those are things that I would never really come across for the most part, despite it's just the way it is. But I love having your perspective on things. This episode, I think, honestly, arguably could be the best episode this entire season right now. I know episode 5 was like the episode, but this episode, I really do think could be rivals that episode. And I can't even imagine what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. It's going to be wild. All right, folks. Thanks for the kind words. I have no doubt that you will not disappoint. All right. As usual, feel free to put something in the chat. We'll talk about it. Again, this is like a communal thing for us to just like nerd out and just hang out and talk about this stuff. Same. I mean, I'm getting a lot of insights from you, but like just listening to it again and watching it again. Because the first time I just kind of watch it, right, just for enjoyment. But at the same time, I can't not like pick things out. 253 Vibe, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining. How are you? But yeah, put anything in here. This is just a communal chat. This is like this is not me like talking at you. This is a group thing. And I don't know everything, and I don't pretend that I do. And of course I miss stuff. But we'll just roll through the episode. This one goes back and forth a lot, and like I was just taking notes on the second rewatch. But essentially the first is just a little bit that's going on. We learn about cameos were top notch in this episode. Absolutely crazy. So good. We learn about the Prime Sentinels, right? We obviously got an introduction to Trask, who was a Prime Sentinel. And then this brings up a point that Mo brought up in in one of his posts about fucking Trish Tilby, man. God dang it. Come on, Hank. Come on. Like Wolverine said, I literally laughed out loud when Wolverine was like, I have to talk to Hank about his taste in women. I was like, come on. But Mo put on one of those things, like it hasn't really been said if she was a plant or she willingly went but doesn't remember. And I don't think we'll ever know, right? Wolverine can't really talk. Yeah, he really cannot talk. Wolverine cannot talk about his taste in women either. That's also questionable at best. Anyway, I mean, we learned about the Prime Sentinels, and clearly they don't have a memory. I think Bastion says it, like they don't have a memory of even being there or what happened to them. They just know that they signed up for this thing And obviously, he omitted all of the other details about what was actually going to happen. And we learned that Bastion is basically building a utopia for quote unquote humans in the future, where essentially mutants are slaves who built this new utopia for them, right? Um, and it's also very ironic that Bastion is like his story is kind of confusing, but was like a human. Yeah, yeah. Like Bastion is a human, but not kind of like a hybrid cyborg kind of thing from the future, but goes back in the past and was like thought he was human, but was actually a mutant, sort of. It's kind of like it's very confusing. But it's either way, it's ironic that he's like not a human, right? Because he's like half cyborg, maybe a mutant, and then he is building this world for humans, and then all of the humans are not going to be humans. They're eventually going to be all hybrids. So they're not even going to be human anymore. It's just ironic. The thing that I find about it is ironic in the fact that he's building this for humans and then eventually no one is going to be a human and they're going to be programmed however he wants them to be, right? Which goes along the lines, I mean, we'll just go right for it right now. Um, and this was like I've kind of heard about this before, but I don't really know about it because it's just fucking wild to me. Oh, vigilante vibes. Oh my goodness. Ish and Zay. I don't know who's here, if it's Ish or Zay, but what's going on? Man, we've got the cream of the crop today. This is amazing. I'm just waiting for the Marvel reader to show up, and then we're in business. Um, oh, what was I talking about? I don't remember. um, Shoot, where did I leave off? Oh, I didn't even know this was really a thing. I've read about it before, more so along the lines of, but what Mo brought up of, I don't even know what it's called. It's just like mind blowing that this is even a thing. Um, so basically, the whole allegory for the episode, this white replacement theory, essentially, right? Like, what, to me, it's just like crazy. It's crazy, and that's exactly what's happening, right? Like, the first thing that I thought about was essentially like terrorist groups, right? Terrorist groups who find these people who are radicalized, feel excluded from their regular group. They come into these chat rooms like 90s style, right? And basically breed them to feel a certain way. And then they indoctrinate them into their plan to provide a better world for them, right? Um, Ish isn't feeling well. Dude, I hope he's feeling better. Um, yeah, everyone who's here, this is awesome. But it's so crazy. Like to me, that's so crazy. But that's exactly what this is, right? Like that is exactly what is happening in like all of this. Um, which is crazy. Just I don't even know. To me, it's a crazy thing that's even happening. It's just wild. I don't understand why people. I don't get it. Um, but that's exactly what's happening, right? And it's kind of funny. It is kind of funny that like when they're talking about this plan that Bastion has, and they like dip that guy, and he's just like an average Joe, and he looks like Joe Dirt, right? Kind of like really talking about right-sided politics and the stereotypical right-sided person who would be on that side of things. Um, just it's just wild. But yeah, that's exactly what's happening in this. Totally saw the Joe Dirt thing. Yeah, totally. Um, man, I know Mo has lots of thoughts on this. He hasn't hit it at all, which is fine. I don't think it should be hidden whatsoever. But it's essentially, it's just crazy that again, this is real world and people think that they're being basically we're taking conservatives, they're being radicalized, and now we're seeing all this stuff. Whose idea was to make Magneto? Your post about you don't buy black lingerie and not plan for someone to see it, right? Like, I mean, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. That is for sure. But right after that, w we basically let's see. And I said this in the last live stream, but it was pretty obvious that, like, Bastion was going to use the oh, no, totally. Like, Bastion was going to use, the footage that he had of Charles to further humans away from mutants and just be like, "Oh, he's creating this alliance in space, and that means they're gonna have even more power over humans," right? Um, I think we all saw that coming. Mo don't forget online radicalization even in this time period. Oh, yeah. This was the era when 4chan and other online spaces were coming together. Yeah, totally. I mean, they talk about it, right? They say, I don't know what 4chan is. I don't know if that dates me, but I remember chat rooms. Um, and that's what they talk about, right? And now it's just like algorithms, right? I mean, we saw Facebook get in trouble with this. And basically pushing people to certain political agendas and just like continuing to like tractor beam them into their main line of thinking. Um, and it's like you said, it's definitely still happening today, probably to 100, if not even more times as strong. 4chan is a lawless place. 2 out of 10 don't recommend. Yeah, I don't even know what it is. Couldn't even tell you. But yeah, and yeah, Claude's right. Like people are afraid that mutants took our jobs, and it's the same thing that's happening, right? People are afraid that they're getting replaced with, I don't know what, just other people. Like I don't know what to tell you. Again, I don't know. It's just mind blowing to me that this is like a thing. I don't get it. I just don't. It's like the evil unhinged variant of Reddit. I mean, Reddit can be a very scary place at times. Just like absolutely why that is also unhinged. I was surprised how many Omega Sentinels there were. Way wider scale than I expected for how powerful they're shown to be. Totally. Totally. Um, the other thing that was crazy to me is like it's interesting that like Bastion programmed them to lie in front of like other humans, but also was like interesting that it seemed like they all just like turned on at once. And I don't know if that was like for this specific time. He knows how he's from the future and he knows how time works, right? Um, oh my god. Speaking of that, right? Like Roberto's mom, I literally sat there when Jubilee and Roberto were doing like their fancy rich lunch. Um, of course, she's like, "Oh, we're gonna have a gala because we're gonna help out the mutants, and that's how this is gonna go." Because I don't know, I'm too rich and I want to help them and I want to make it look like I care about them when clearly we know that she doesn't. In fact, right, we know that she doesn't even want Roberto to come out as a mutant. And finally, we see him start to turn right in his arc of like, yeah, that's not how this is going to go. And then I literally, once that happened, I was like, God damn it, Mrs. DaCosta. Why are you so awful? Why are you so awful? Yes, exactly. For rich liberal allies. Yeah. People who pretend to care, but in reality, they don't. Right. Totally, Claude. Yeah, he would have internalized that, and then finally, again, we finally see him switching over. Fucking god damn it, Mrs. DaCosta. I know. How could you to me, at the end when they crash, when Jubilee and, Roberto crash at the gala, of course, out of all places, and then they have those, sentinels who lied that said, "We're not here to hurt mutants, we're here to help them," right? And then she's just like, "Son, stand down." How can you d like, as a parent, how could you do that to your own goddamn kid? Like you're so self-absorbed. God dang. Yep, exactly. Exactly. I'm assuming this is Megan, by the way, from Vigilante Vibes. But if it's not, please tell me. And gosh, I'm having a blank right now of the other host of Vigilante Vibes. I truly apologize. Okay, it is Megan. Okay. But yes. Um, like as a parent, Max, thank you. I do it's Dang it. Um, but yeah, like as a parent, I'm like, how can you just be like, just go with them. Let them put the power inhibitor on you and just leave. It's okay. Like, no, no. Eminem. That makes more sense. I like that. Thank you. It's easy enough for some people. How many people have disowned their kids for coming out? Yeah, I know it's not surprising, right? I'm almost like this is going to get personal. Not too personal, but like I have a family member who's my mom's uncle. So way older. I'm 99.9% sure that he's gay and has never, to my knowledge, have come out. And that's just like part of that whole generation. Like he's easily in his 70s. Um, and it's just like crazy to me that people, and it's part of it is because they don't want to be disowned, right? Part of it is because they're afraid, because they don't want to be disowned or anything along those lines. It's that's one, it's just a shame. But anyway, I digress on that. Exactly. She 100% sold him out because all of her rich friends saw him. And yeah, and again, she doesn't want to lose all this money. I just think that she probably needs to have a better financial management system, and it wouldn't matter if she didn't lose these investors. If she actually did the right things with her money, she'd be fine. That's just like personal finance 101, right? Like, don't rely on other people's stuff here. Um, yeah, fear of loss of privilege. This little heart that's always over here blocks my damn chat. It's so horrible. Is a big of the show. Part of the show. There it is. Okay. Um, yeah, shareholders are way greater than your child. Totally. Totally way greater. All right. I think after that, we get a quick little rundown with Gene and Kurt looking over Rogue. Jean's kind of like conflicted with all of her memories because they're from Madeline and she doesn't know still what she felt, but they feel so real that like it feels like Nathan is her son. Um, Kurt is just the best. I made that post yesterday. Like, I need a real life Kurt. I need a Kurt in my life every day to just like give me some give me some philosophical talk and some pep talks every day. But I just took a bit of his quote at one point. It was like, blood is blood, family is a choice, right? That's just like illuminating that the X-Men are a family, essentially, right? Like we already knew that, but damn, it's just so good. And in fact, when he like has that talk with Jean, she finally realizes that like even though that she wasn't there, she has those emotions that are connected with it. I did see that, Mo. That you actually see her later when they're in when the Summers team is in the Blackbird. She's very motherly to him. She like puts on his seatbelt, all the all this stuff, tells him to stop fighting. Um, she said one more thing, and Bastion is not Bastion. Cable is also just like, geez, I'm just trying to hurry up, okay? So you kind of see her get into that like motherly thing over Nathan, which I just thought was hilarious. But yeah, I saw you post that. I don't remember the exact post. Let's look it up, Mo. But basically, yeah, where Mystique abandoned Kurt because let me just quote you because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Yeah, the quote from Kurt, despite our shared blood, I was too blue for her. And Mo then went on and said, do you all understand how deep this allegory is? Mystique is a mutant whose power let her pass as a human, and she abandons the child that betrays her true heritage. This is literally about people of color who can pass for white and the choice they have to make when their children's very existence exposes the lie. Yes, very much. That pretty much sums it up right there. Yeah, they finally name drop Mystique in the show. And I still think Val Cooper, Mystique is Val Cooper. I really think so. It's just when I tell you this show is cooking, it really is. It really is, Mo. I still think I agree, right? Like it seems like Val Cooper is Mystique, or vice versa, excuse me. Mystique is Val Cooper, but then again, it doesn't seem like it. I don't know. I'm just waiting for her to show up at some point. It's $300 per plate cooking. That is very true. Yes. I think Mystique is Val Cooper. Yeah, I think so. I think It almost seems like she has to be. Um, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we'll find out soon. The lady in Bastion's computer, who everyone thinks is Madam Hydra, has me thinking Mystique is wearing many hats. Very true. I hope she's not Val. It is a little bit of a cop out. Like, I agree on that, Mo. Like, it would just be like too easy for them to just do that. Yeah, I agree. I hope it's not. Hmm. That could be very possible. Yeah, Mystique could have been Val and Genosha, but not the Val the whole show, right? Like, very, very true. Oh, Sinister's Mengele. Mengele? I think that's right. I mean, essentially, right, we know Mr. Sin I mean, the whole thing right there with I wrote something down about it. I mean, we know that essentially Sinister's whole thing is like genetic testing with mutants, right? And that's the only reason he's basically essentially working with Bastion because he has this nonstop fuel of mutants where he can just continue to experiment on and create his ultimate human being, right? And I would expect, I think his overall goal is to not, because you can tell like Sinister doesn't care for Bastion. He's just using him. And I feel like Bastion is also using Sinister, right? And I feel like at any point, both of those could go, I feel like any point, both of those could go like turn their back on each other, which I'm assuming they would at some point. And it seems like Sinister is going to be the key to like beating Bastion, would be my guess, because um, Sinister has this techno organic virus that can be used in some sort of way to hopefully, I would assume, defeat Bastion. Exactly. Let's check in here. Maurice, he just Mengele got lost in the stupid Nazi shit. Otherwise, he could have been like me. Yeah, he basically essentially that. He was like, just didn't live up to his full potential. Haven't read the X-Men 97 comics, waiting for the trade. Those are good. There's only 2 issues out, I believe, so far. I feel like it's great bonus content, Mo. This is my take on it. This is my take on it. I think they're definitely aligned with the show. I think they're just bonus content. Like the first one is very like because you've seen the first episode, you're like, you know what's happening right now, sort of, for the most part in that episode, because they're leaving like lots of little hints of like what people would see in the first episode. Um, and then the second one I just felt was like it was an okay issue. Again, it's just like bonus content. I'm assuming at some point we're gonna get Sabretooth because we haven't seen him yet, and he was in that second issue. It's only a matter of time before he shows up. I think they're fine. I think it's bonus content. I think I'm looking at it from like a standalone comic. Like if there was no show or if you weren't watching the show, I'd be like, this is okay. I'm also looking at it from the standpoint of like, I feel like everyone is like tight for money these days since it costs like millions of dollars to just survive. I would suggest to folks spend your money in a different comic versus X-Men 97. That's like my take slash other views on it. It's not a bad comic. I would highly I would say get it, especially just like bonus content. That's fair. I agree. Thank you, Megan. I know you've been reading and you did a review on the first issue, I believe. Um yeah, I don't think they're bad. It's just again, if you're strapped for cash and you don't know what you should be getting, um, I would spend my money somewhere else. Not that it's not spent well on X-Men 97, the comic, but that's just my take. Um, comics too expensive for me. It should be on Marvel Unlimited. Usually it's 3 months later. So, or the trade. Because if the trade is decently priced, I just feel like a trade for 4 issues, if it's not like $12, it's you're paying too much money, I think. Because at that point, why? Um, yes, Kamar Taj reference that was in there. Um, Kamar Taj reference was in there. I just think I mean, I don't know much else about it besides the reference, right? Like, obviously, to quote unquote like mystical beings, right? Doctor Strange essentially is the first thing that comes up, right? Um, yep. Genosha is apparently an absolute point, which explains the Watcher showing up. It does. That does make sense now, and obviously why I mean it's explained, but why Cable couldn't go back and stop it from happening because he would just get pulled back to where he was coming from, essentially. So it's something that just can't ever be changed in history. Yep. Forge's mag looked exactly like Strange. Plus, we saw that portal at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. It feels like they're connecting some stuff. Oh yeah, the Stark Expo flyer. I did see that in a video that I watched. I didn't notice it right away. But yes, in Bastion's room, I believe, right? The Stark Expo flyer was in Bastion's room. Um, which again, I mean, man, this kid has been messed up. Bastion has been messed up for a long, long time. That like painting, that his final painting, whatever it was called, of just like total takeover of sentinels and hybrid humans just massacring mutants. That's some sick stuff to draw as like a 16-year-old. Um, yeah. Yeah, it's not supposed to be in the MCU until it is. The Final Dream, that sounds right. Just kids doing cute art. Yeah, totally. Like that's something that you wouldn't tell anyone else about ever, right? Like that's nothing to be worried about, just a kid doing his own thing. um Man, it's just Bastion has been obviously again, his history is convoluted, slightly different from the comics from what I understand. 100% on board with her kids' activities. Yes, pretty much. She was like, "You know what? You do your thing, kid." Um, it's yeah, I don't know. Bastion is just kinda has been disturbed for a while. If anyone had any doubts about Marvel doing Marvel Zombies, honestly, right? Like, to me, as I'm watching that episode, and I think Mo had it I don't know if you were live threading at the time when you watched it, but you were like, "Oh, we're getting, like, a mix between Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead." And as I'm watching, like, that fight well, let's just talk about it. Wolverine and Nightcrawler, the 9 Reasons I guess people are calling it the 9 Reasons fight or whatever it is, right? Man, one, talk about some great stuff. Just great animation. But as they were like, as Kurt like sliced them apart, and then they're just like pulling themselves back together. I'm like, God, what is happening? They can do this? Like that didn't, if I recall, that didn't happen with Trask. And I don't know if they like up their tech game after they infected him. Um, but man, as they're just like pulling themselves together, I'm just like, what is happening? How are we going to stop these guys? How are we going to stop them? Geeky old hog, nice to see you. Nice to join in. Bonjour, I should say. Yeah, the X-Men are going to need a bigger team. Like as they were like putting themselves back together, yeah, they EMP'd them and scrambled his circuits. Yeah, at the end, essentially that was it, right? Like with Magneto, like supercharging himself from the North Pole and just being like, nah, we're gonna end this shit right now. This is done. I felt that same way, Megan. Did anyone see a parallel between Kurt usually saying 9 and then Kurt saying 9 reasons? Totally. I felt that. Yeah, totally. I was right there. But that fight, man, the animation on that was just great. And then when Wolverine got pulled into that like transport portal with Kurt, I was like, I didn't know that that's what it was happening initially, and I was like, oh man, Wolverine is screwed. I don't know what's gonna happen, but he's screwed. Um, I know that was pretty cool, right? Like showing us inside Kurt's portal. Like I just felt apparently that is the I was watching another video on this, and it's the brimstone dimension. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong or right. I have no idea. I'm just like quoting what someone else had said. I'm just assuming that they're correct. I could be very wrong. Also, Wolverine being that guy is something I never get tired of. Marvel Reader, you're here. Awesome. So glad you can come, especially since you said you were going to come. Right? I never knew I needed to see that until we saw it. Like it was just so cool So cool to see that. Man, just a great that whole fight scene, everything about it was amazing. Dude, don't be sorry you're late. No, no, no sorries here. It's okay. There's no expectation. I just figured something else happened again. Like I get it. Um Man. All right, let's go back. What else do we got here? Also, we'll go back to Roberto and Jubilee because I think that's like at this next point in my notes. I don't know. Whatever. I just thought it was funny again that Jubilee and newish X-Men Roberto again are getting attacked with this new tech, Sentinels, at a mall. They're like, "We can't." I'm like, "You guys got to just not go to malls. Let's stay out of the mall. Let's not go there." I could use a chocolate glazed donut. That sounds good right about now. Jubilee did say that. She was like, I can't keep going to the malls." She got the charge card. She did. She was like, "Roberto, also black leather suit." I feel like that was another call out to Fox again, but Jubilee liked it, of course. And then I also had to laugh when she was like, "Everyone can fly but me." And then she literally tries to like Iron Man herself with her fireworks. And she's like, "Oh, that did not work." And then finally, we get Roberto like doing something. I keep thinking of that little like meme with the stick. It's like, come on, do something. Um, that's all I've been waiting for. Obviously, it's been part of his arc and all this stuff of like him realizing that he's got to turn his back on his parents because they're a-holes. Um, but like finally nice to like see him actually use his powers. Um, and apparently he's been practicing in the danger room. Good for him. Good for him. Um, but yeah, it's just yeah. I think they did a good job with how Roberto's powers looked in animation. I'm sure that's like very I don't know. Animation to me seems very hard because I'm just not in that world, but like I'm sure it'd be very easy to like make it not look so great. Jubilee on I don't know if how do you say I don't know if it is Teeny Howard's Excalibur run because I've been reading through that and like yeah, Jubilee is pretty awesome in that. I just like I'll Excalibur has been okay in, like, the Krakoa era. Probably still my favorite are X-Force and Marauders, but Excalibur is kinda right there. It's just kinda confusing eventually because like, I didn't really have much Excalibur experience. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, Roberto and Jubilee are apparently a couple, and they're crushing it. You know, I like it. I like it for them. That's good. I'm surprised now that I think about this too. I'm surprised like Roberto's I guess she probably didn't have enough time, but like I would imagine like this is like classic rich person thing of like your kids have credit cards, they just charge them to, the parents' account or whatever that they just didn't like cut off their credit card. Like, you're a mutant, you can't be using this stuff. I'm not gonna have you do that. Like you're not going out to the mall with this mutant girl. Anyway, that's just like I just thought of that. I'm surprised that didn't happen. Obviously not enough time for that. But then basically, I mean, we've already talked about it, but then just like all of the Sentinels just like turn on all at once, and they're like, "All right, it's time to screw everything up," basically. And obviously, the attack on the X-Men on the X Mansion. I mean, the scene with the Summers team and all of those Sentinels was pretty cool, right? Like, it was pretty cool. I liked it. I just, interesting. I didn't see this in the show until I watched this other video, like pointing out Easter eggs on Cyclops's Porsche. His license plate is SL1M, obviously an Easter egg for his nickname back in the day in comics of Slim, which I just thought was hilarious. But overall, I like that was a fun action sequence. Nice. That's cool, Claude. I like that. Yeah, probably will cut him off at some point. If you stay with the X Men, you're cut off. I'm sure that will. You're probably right, Meg. Um, at some point, Roberto does inherit the DaCosta fortune, becomes the money behind X Force. I didn't know that. I did not know that. That's fun. Um, and then, I mean, the whole external storyline. I'm not aware of that external storyline, Mo. Again, I'm still working my way through X-Men comics. I like started with issue number 1 initially. I was like, "All right, I'm going to read X-Men." And then I learned very fast that X-Men number 1 is not the place to start. So then I was like, "Oh, I'll do Krakoa." And then I was like, "Oh, it's ending." Son of a bitch. But I was already like 20 issues in, and now I'm still kind of in, but not. I don't know. I'm like procrastinating on reading more of those. Um Someone has to pay for the new X mansion. That is very true. But apparently, Charles is also very rich. So, he's back now, which by the end, that ending was great. Like classic callback to like the usual like setup in like the comics of like their faces around him showing up and being like, "Oh, I hear my call." Um, but that was good. Yeah, Krakoa. No, I have been jumping in wherever, and I'm probably gonna continue with the new X-Men run. But yeah. But is Charles DeCosta rich? That is a good question. That is a good question. My guess is if you're like basically running Brazil, probably not that rich. I think Kurt's speech about family being a choice will be relevant to Roberto. Oh, totally. There's no doubt to that on Marvel Reader. I mean, it's clear that Roberto's finally like learning that even though your family is blood. I mean, I have his quote. I said it earlier. Kurt's quote: "Blood is blood. Family is a choice." Right? Even though they're your family, doesn't necessarily mean that they have your best interest at heart. Right? I mean, we even talked about Mo had a post recently about Mystique. Right? Giving birth to Kurt, but right, Kurt was too blue. Kurt was too blue for me, so I'm just going to throw you down this river and off a cliff. Um, but yeah, let's see. Found family storylines are my jam, and they make me cry all the time. That's okay, Mo. I pretty much was very close to tearing up at the end of this episode the first time I watched it with Professor X coming back. Beast and Forge. I mean, at some point we're gonna see Forge again. We've got to. Um, yeah, Kurt is just so good. I mean, I'll stand on that hill all day. Kurt is the best, and it's just so good. He's so good. Again, I need a Kurt in my life. So badly. um, but we haven't talked about yet, which is very true. And Mo had a post about this. I'm also part of the problem. And the first thing that I thought about on this was like when Val Cooper ends up talking, like has her speech to Bastion of like all of these things are happening, excuse me, in the real world. And we just become apathetic to it, which was part of Bastion's plan, right? Like the Genosha was going to be so crazy and so much destruction and devastation that it's just like too much for people who are not in it to just like take it all in. So they're like, you know what? I'm not even gonna like worry about it. They're gonna become apathetic to it. And right, just like totally not have that in there. And then she even said it's like basically the next day we just turn the page, right? It's like it's something. And the first thing when I watched it initially, the first thing that came to my mind was just like at least here in the States, if I'm assuming most people who are here are from the States. I know if he's still here, Geeky Old Hog is not. But we have so many like mass shootings, right? And it's just like we have so many mass shootings, and it's just like another blip in the news. It's just like, oh, just another one happened today. On to the next topic. And we just all kind of like just glaze over it, right? And it's not the way that it should be, but it's just it's sadly that it's so commonplace now that we just like overlook it. And again, it doesn't help that we just again, we're part of the problem. And it's just like this is not really what it should be. Like, we shouldn't necessarily, um, we shouldn't just let this go. It shouldn't be commonplace to have, a church or a school or even someone in a traffic stop pulled over and murdered for nothing, literally nothing, right? Like, it's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, I remember Columbine and how crazy it was. Like, it's just, yeah. I mean, we literally just brush it off, and it literally should not be that way, but we're desensitized to it. We've seen it so much that we're desensitized to it, which is sad. Damn. But yeah, that whole thing. And then basically, I'm pretty sure no, this was earlier, but again, driving home the whole thing of like, we didn't learn anything from the past. Holocaust, when they zoomed in on Magneto's concentration camp number, his tattoo, right? Like, it's just, yeah. I finished high school right before school shooter drills existed. I never did a school shooter drill, but we had lots of bomb threats. And I remember whenever we would get locked down, the code in middle school was Mr. Green, please report to the Mr. Green, please come to the office was the code. And when you heard that go over the loudspeaker, you're like, now we're stuck in this classroom for God knows how long right now. Um, yeah, it's just sad that that's the way we're living. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I almost fear every day. I mean, my teacher, my wife is a teacher. She's a second grade teacher. And to me, I would not worry about a 7 or an 8-year-old. Like, I shouldn't have to worry about a 7 or an 8-year-old with the possibility of them bringing a gun to school, right? But that shit happens. That shit happens. And it's like crazy. And now that I have a daughter, she's not even close to going to school yet. Like, she's almost 2. But like, I have so much anxiety about the real world for her now because it's just crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna send my kid away. I hope you come home. But yeah, just crazy, absolutely crazy. Um, what else do we got here? I mean, Genosha, Bastion. I mean, his quote: "Genosha is not genocide; it's time management." Crazy. Like, this man has been messed up for a long time. This man has been messed up for a long time. Yeah. Not glad, but I'm glad we can all empathize with each other who have kids and who worry about this, even though it's sad that we have to worry about it. But yeah. Four-year-old kiddo squad. There it is. I just love that all of our kids are probably future nerds. That's all. That's what matters most, right? All right. Let's talk about these cameos, right? We got a Juggernaut cameo from Morph. I feel like we need more Morph. We need more Morph as Morph. But I do like how they're using him as like the cameo guy. Um, but man, I feel like we need more Morph. At some point, I'm sure we'll get some of it, but we got to discuss Magneto. Speedo Magneto, that's a t-shirt idea right there. Speedo Magneto is definitely a t-shirt idea. Uh I can't stop laughing about it. Speedo Magneto. Oh my gosh. We need a t-shirt for this. Speedo Magneto. I don't even know what to make that into, but I want a Speedo Magneto Speedo. Oh my gosh. This is we went to talking about tragedies to Speedos real quick. Someone had me rolling talking about how Ian McKellen didn't put in enough work from playing Magneto. I mean, there's a chance he shows up in Deadpool and Wolverine. Probably not. Probably not in a Speedo. I thought about 1 a.m. last night and with anticipation to post about it today. I mean, it's doing pretty well. Your post about buying black lingerie and you don't have a, you don't buy it without having the plan of someone see it. I need us to make the next art trend on Threads, Speedo Magneto in your style. Oh my god. Ian McKellen, I know, right? Ian McKellen in his Speedo sounds like a good time. I would be worried. I would be worried to see that on screen. Speedo Magneto. Someone needs to make a shirt. We need to make a shirt for that. That's too good. I mean, what do you want to talk about, Meg? I don't have much else to say. I don't have much else to say about it. But I mean, you know, I guess Rogue liked it, right? Rogue must have liked it. Released the Speedo Magneto cut. There it is. Oh my gosh. Um, man, it was just worth mentioning. Oh, actually, uh-oh. Here we go. I want to know. More seriously, Val becoming an accomplice was a good turn. I agree, right? Like, it was interesting to find out that she was helping, but then obviously turning her back, being worried that like what's happening is like way too much. And like now that you're going to just also be hurting humans. Like I agree. Like that wasn't something that I was necessarily anticipating. In fact, I mean, I honestly thought I was under the impression that she was dead on Genosha. Um, yeah, I mean, it was disappointing to find out that she was a collaborator. I like that Val wasn't Mystique. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about Marvel Reader, but like most of us agree that we're hoping that she's not, but maybe Mystique is Val, but not all the time. I don't know. I still think it's a possibility. I hope it's not. Right? Bastion a freak. So Magneto was fully dressed when Bastion was essentially shaving him. So who undressed Magneto? Was he already wearing the Speedo? Is that Bastion's thing? We're getting these are the important questions. I mean, it had to be Bastion, right? Like had to be Bastion because I mean, however, I mean, I don't know if Bastion would have put the Speedo on Magneto because let's get real, Magneto was at this dance anticipating hopefully Rogue would join him, right? So like he was anticipating some extra stuff with Rogue until shit went sideways. So he might have already been wearing it, but you're not wrong in that Bastion's a freak, right? Like he definitely undressed Magneto. And I don't see Mr. Sinister doing that. Although I sometimes question Mr. Sinister with his cape. I question him with his cape. 100% Bastion kink. What if he made Sinister do it? If he made Sinister do it, that is a twist. That, you know what? That is going to show up in we're going to learn more about this kink in issue 3 of the X-Men 97 comic. You might need to buy that one, Mo, just specifically for these things. Is the Magneto Speedo made of unstable molecules? That is the real question that we need to know now, right? Tell us the answers, Marvel. You know who has the answers? Bo DeMeo. We need to. I wish Bo DeMeo would come to Threads. Like, get off the trash Twitter and come to Threads, please. Like, come on. We need you. We need you on Threads and not Twitter. Uh oh my goodness. I'm almost at a loss for words right now. Let's keep favorite. Someone did ask favorite morph cameo. I don't know. I got to think back now. Val's speech though. That was very good. That was a very good speech. They're killing it with the monologues for characters on this entire series right now. I still think Magneto's speech in episode 2 is probably my favorite. Um Quicksilver was a good cameo. I think I don't know if it's part of um the whole scene, but maybe when he turned into the Blob, when he was able to bounce Wolverine off of himself, um, to defeat the Sentinels in that either the first or the second episode, I don't remember anymore at this point. The spiritual exhaustion she displayed in that speech, totally. Her speech was just so good. Again, the monologues have been great in this entire thing. Magic, that was a good cameo. Um, yeah, turning into Jean, that was a good one. Um, Bitchy Morph is the best Morph. I still he has been underserved this whole. I do like how they're using him for cameos, but I wish we saw more Morph right now. Like I feel like we haven't really seen him that much, and we really only got like a little bit of that connection to Sinister in that first episode when he was about to join Wolverine in the showers, or the second episode, whichever one it was, second one. Um, that was like the only connection we've seen, and obviously there's still 2 more episodes to get into that, but that's really the only other thing that we've seen. Um, yep. And then going back to Mo, right, with Val's speech, like we keep falling back into these destructive patterns. We do, and I think that all goes back to again like forgetting history. Not even forgetting it. Like we can know history, but we have to learn from it, right? Holocaust. I mean, genocides still fucking happen today, right? But again, people just kind of like turn a blind eye to it, and it's just like, oh, it wasn't as big as the Holocaust and World War II, so whatever. Or it's about countries that people aren't worth worrying about, quote unquote, worth worrying about in terms of like political things, in terms of like you know, I don't know the exact country, but I know that this has happened in Africa. Um, and again, people are just like top leaders and other people are like, well, it's not a major world power, so we're not worried about it. Like, people are just dying. I mean, it's happening right now, right? Um, gosh, Palestine and Iran, right? Iran, yeah. It's just crazy. It's anyway, but yeah, we're not learning from the past, and we just fall into these destructive patterns. No oil, no interest. Exactly. That is it right there. You are 100%. You know what? I would not be surprised. I said this after I finished reading Ultimate Invasion, the most recent one, the four issue intro. And if anyone read that, you know that like when um Howard Stark goes and meets with all of like the meeting of the world powers, and he's like, why is like Russia, basically Russia, right? Like Magic and Colossus, why are they here? Everyone hates them. I don't understand how this is working. And they're like, oh, we're all just friends here. We just all take turns of like who's actually like in power and like who's the bad guy right now. And as I get older, I'm just like, I would not be surprised if that's how the real world actually works, right? Like all the world leaders are just friends and they just like share the blame. And I'm just like, this is probably how it works. And we're just all pawns in the game to just meet their needs, essentially. But the other cameos also in this episode, Doctor Doom, uh, Baron Zemo, both helped Bastion do this. But yeah, yeah, right. Mo and Meg, you're both right. Like they hate each other. They act like they hate each other, but it's all for publicity. And probably behind the scenes, there's some other shady stuff that's happening. But yeah, Doom, Baron Zemo both helped Bastion do this. But Doom was like, I don't want no part of this. I don't want to be known that I helped. This is like you're a little bit too evil for me right now. Like I don't want to be caught colluding. we do need the Marvel animated universe, and we kind of touched on this earlier, right? Like this isn't in the MCU, and Mo was like, "It's not in the MCU until it is." And we talked about this 2 live streams ago, where I hope this doesn't necessarily like go into the MCU. I would love to just be like, let's keep this separate Marvel animated universe, kind of like how it was before with Spider-Man, and obviously Spider-Man cameo along with Silver Samurai. Um, who else do we see? Omega Red. Omega Red, right? Doom really said too far, dude. He really did. He was like, this is too much for me. This is too evil for my blood." They really are trying to. And it's like one of those things where people like get upset where they like put something in and then they never revisit it again later. Like you see it all the time in the MCU where like they leave little threads that like it could be picked up later if someone wants to do it, so they have it. But then people complain that it never does get picked up. It's just like one of those things, right? I think in again most posts, to me they probably did this with maybe not the idea of being like full force of like we're going to create a Marvel animated universe, but we're going to drop these little cameos in here in case this shit does blow up. It can happen, right? Um, and I hope that's what happens. I agree. I agree. In your post, you said this. My only requirement is that they be selective as hell. Yeah, they need to be selective. I'm still beyond the fact that they need to bring back Bo. With how good this is, they're not going to. Unfortunately, probably for whatever it is. Again, it's probably just personal stuff on OnlyFans from the biggest speculations. But like, he's done such a good job. Like beyond excited for season 2. All I would say is like if you feel like you can't bring him back publicly, sign that man up for however much money he wants to be a goddamn ghostwriter. Like you can't not have him with how good this is. Let's see. Everything doesn't have to be S tier like X Men '97. No, totally. Like I agree. Like they don't need to be as strong as like X Men '97 is. Like this is like setting the bar way high. But it needs to be selective. Like we just can't be like, oh, we're gonna do a Spider-Man one now. Doom put a lot of variant mutants inside his Doombots to make the X-Men hurt other mutants. I did not know that. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Claude, and that's the same thing that Mo said. Like we need to be selective. Like don't go balls to the walls now on animation and just like throw things at the wall and see what happens. Like again, be selective with your pitches, make it make sense. The only fan thing isn't true. I didn't know that. I haven't delved too much into it. He had that account for 2 years before X-Men '97. Yeah. I don't know. Again, it must have been really bad for him to get fired like 2 weeks before this stuff went out. Because for that to happen, it's just crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Literally no one is talking, right? Like it's gotta be bad. It's gotta be bad. Far more. Yeah. I'm glad that Marvel is being more selective and slowing down and intentional with all of their stuff, right? Like MCU. I mean, the fact that they were just like, let's just pump out as many projects as possible, it's just a little bit too much. I mean, Eyes of Wakanda, I'm excited for that. That should be good. I mean, I don't mind the what if stuff. I do think it would be worth maybe changing up. It's kind of similar to X-Men, like the style animation. I don't mind it, but it would be cool to like just tweak it a little bit. Maybe not the same for every episode. I don't know. I wish we had something like Earth's Mightiest Heroes again. Yeah. I think this is all it's all possibly coming. I mean, it seems like again, they would do a Spidey one. It just is that it needs to be done well, and it needs to be selective about what they're going to do and intentional, right? Like everything that's been done this season has been so good. So good. Yeah. Yeah. They're pulling back, which is good. Oh, there's no doubt, right? There's no doubt that they're not thinking of doing more animated projects at this point with how well X-Men 97 is doing. There's no way that they're not looking into it. Yeah. I agree. Like they had the opportunity to have different animation styles on What If. Yeah. I think that's what they need to do. Have those retreat like have that retreat, all those kinds of things. That's the way to go. That is the way to go. Because we do need everyone on the same page. And I still hope that they keep some of this stuff separate. Like let's not make everything into the MCU because then it's just way too convoluted. More so than it already is. Not that it's bad, but it's just anyone have some thoughts on what we're gonna see in these next two episodes? Oh yeah. They're definitely gonna zip up multiverse stuff. They're gonna end that real quick. I think people are just tired of it. I don't mind it. It's just I think for the general fan, it has for the general fan, the multiverse has been too convoluted, and they're just like, "We're over this. We need to end this right now." Oh yeah, unhinged the next 2 weeks. Cable and Scott being distant, yeah. Then linking up to get yeah. That whole action sequence was great. I mean, just plowing through a bunch of rocks. Wolverine called Scott Daddy. Yes, that also happened. That also happened. I mean, they are a throuple, at least Wolverine, Scott, and Jean in Krakoa. Multiverse is a lazy way of writing. Wants his character back? Plot hole. Multiverse. Yeah, it is. I still think we might end the season on a cliffhanger with Onslaught. That's what everyone has been like pointing to. At least from other videos that I've watched of like where some of this background has come from, but not completely, is that. And I don't know much about Onslaught. In fact, I know pretty much nothing about it. But that the whole action scene with the Summers team was dope. Again, the Porsche, I mean, to have the foresight to have the Porsche and the Blackbird is one thing. Um, kind of want Scott to head towards his villain arc. I thought that that's what we were gonna end up seeing. I guess it's still a possibility, but it doesn't seem like it's trending that way anymore now. Because I know the Marvel reader suspected that Scott was going to end up leaving the team with Storm taking over. Um, Porsches have made it that far in the future, Megan. Come on. Don't you know? It's a Porsche. I mean, I know nothing that much about cars, but yeah, ain't no way he's driving around in a Porsche. Eh, who knows? Gene being integral to the action was great. Agreed. It's finally like clear that from the beginning of the episode when Gene and Scott were talking that they've clearly started to have, make amends and start to grow back and closer towards each other. And now they're finally they haven't made it that far here. So true. Um, and then just basically, you know, obviously working together at the end was good. Like her taking over the wheel. I would not be surprised if we saw that car as like a toy at some point. Not that I collect those, the cars. I don't, but yeah, Gene and Kurt talking about our memories were great. That again, that whole speech with Kurt was amazing. And like, I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, but like the, he said something like, even though you weren't there and you didn't feel the actual physical, like Nathan crying, but you felt the emotion. Does that mean that it doesn't count essentially? Right. Like it's just so good. Yeah. Kurt just dropped a dime. Someone in my post about Kurt, like needing a Kurt was like, we need to have Kurt and Vision just like team up. I'm like, damn, that might be way, that might be way too much philosophical talking right there. Like, man, Onslaught showing up could be a jumping on point for a bunch of non-mutant heroes getting taken off the board in universe, which could lead to a Thunderbolt spinoff since there was a Zemo nod. Very interesting. Again, I don't know much about Onslaught, but that makes sense. Unlike the original series, I'm so glad Jean does more than moaning and fainting. That is literally all she did. And like as I'm sitting there sometimes, why like I'm washing dishes. I have my phone propped up on like the windowsill as I'm washing dishes. Like before this was starting, like rewatching the animated series. And I'm like in the Phoenix saga and I'm washing dishes. The volume's up, obviously. I don't have my AirPods in, and we got ton of Gene moaning, and I'm like, oh my god, what does my wife think I'm watching right now? Because she probably is thinking that I'm not watching what I think I'm. She probably is not thinking that I'm watching cartoons right now. Kurt for Pope. Let's not put him in the Catholic Church, though. Let's not do that. Let's keep him out of the Catholic sphere. They got their own problems. Or very specific cartoons. Also very true, Claude. Ugh. What else we got here? Oh, vigilante vibes. Maddie, Maddie supremacy. Yeah, Bastion's got them on the ropes. It really seems that way. Again, when they were putting themselves back together in that Claude, goodness gracious, in that Kurt and Wolverine fight, I was like, they are screwed. They are literally screwed. There is no way. There's no way they're going to beat these things. They're just putting themselves back together. I'm like, maybe as I'm watching and like knowing zombie stuff, I'm like, is there like one thing, right? Like there's got to be that easy out of like we got to press like destroy this one piece of them and they can't put themselves back together. Oh, Professor X is he's gonna pull it's it's classroom time on Bastion. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, man. I don't know why I thought this was funny. To me, this is just like my humor. But like when Professor X came in and he like crash landed right into the X mansion. And like he clearly didn't know what was happening. I don't know if he could see what was happening from his like his ship. But like he just like crash landed right into the X mansion. I'm like, bro, what if this thing wasn't already on fire? You're just gonna crash right into your house. That's how it's gonna go. That's a good point, Claude. Like clearly Magneto's like he's like, I'm tired of this shit. We got to go back to the way I was doing stuff because this ain't working. Um, I don't know if he'll come back online, but it seems like he still just has probably tons of humans that'll still do his little green goo dip and turn into sentinels. Oh, Meg. Oh my goodness. Talk about all the people who are on life support. Oh my goodness. Uh, oh my goodness. That I did not think of that, but very true. Sucks for them. Yeah, I mean, Magneto pretty much declared war, as Wolverine said. I think that was obviously intentional. That now they're going to be going to war. Um, Wonder what that means for Forge. Hopefully, he's kind of like made that turn, Forge, right? Like after being with Storm and being like, Storm was like, bro, you kind of messed up going against your own kind, making uh, technology that's could destroy us. I know that you needed the money, but like, come on, man, you can't be doing this. Polly, Polly, nice to see you. So glad you can make it. I think we just blew by Zero Tolerance. Episode 9 is going to be Fatal Attractions, and episode 10 will end with Onslaught. I'm going to have to do some research on those. Magneto pulled a live wire, to be honest. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, experts predict mass chaos and casualties if there's widespread failure of power grids. I think, yeah, I mean, stuff's going to get wild. There's no way. Nice to have you here, Polly. So glad you could make it. It's going to get crazy. Polly, because you just jumped in, I need to know. This is probably the most important thing that we talked about today. What's your take on the Magneto Speedo? I can't not laugh. I can't not laugh and say that. The Mag Speedo. I like the rhyming. I like the rhyming, Claude. I'm not gonna lie. The Magneto Speedo is just I think we need something. We need something on yeah. The Magneto Speedo is just too much. That is probably the most important thing we talked about today. Not about real life tragedies, not about apathy, not about uh gosh, I don't remember what it is. The the gosh, basically the theory, white replacement theory. None of that. None of that. It's all about the Magneto Speedo. I knew you would be all about the Magneto Speedo, Meg. Lencher launcher. Oh, I like the alliteration, Mo. That is good. I thought those were tidy whities. Like, apparently, according to Vigilante Vibes Meg, this is black lingerie slash speedo esque here. I mean, he is excuse me, he is European, right? So that's like his standard. That's like speedo is standard for them. I don't think Magneto actually prepared for this outing. However, we talked about Bastion being the kinky part here, right? Like I'm under the impression Magneto was wearing those in anticipation of Rogue joining his side at Genosha, right? But then we know that he got snatched up by Bastion after everything went down, and he was still clothed. Meg pointed out he was still clothed when he was shaving him, and then now he's undressed. Now he's undressed, and just in that speedo. So either I think he was already wearing it, or Bastion put it on him. And then we said, what if Bastion made Mr. Sinister undress Magneto? These are all these things. Also, what is the material of the Speedo made of? These are all the things. Randy, nice to see you again. You are definitely coming in at the right time. There has to be metal threads in that Speedo. What if Magneto goes commando? Yes, Bastion would have had to have provided the Speedo. Here's another twist. That Speedo is one of Mr. Sinister's Speedos. I mean, if you're wearing a cape, you got to be wearing a Speedo, right? Like that's got to be the thing. uh too good. Too good. What? Yes, Randy, you came in. You came in at the right time, Randy. I, who wouldn't check what's under that cape, right? True, right, Claude? It would make very noticeable lines. Welcome to the Speedo Talk. Oh my goodness. I might have to like clip this and make this its own thing. Uh and like merge it together, make it its own video. I don't know if I could do that. I'm gonna have to figure out if I can. We either need that or like we just need a full-on X-Men calendar that's just Magneto in his speedo. all all 12 months. Cap cut it up. Yeah. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can do this and just post this as like a speedo video because that would just be hilarious. I hope people would watch it. It probably wouldn't get pushed via the algorithm. But that would be funny. Um It's true. You do have to manscape. But if Magneto was already wearing it, Bastion may not have had to have done too much, right? Because if you are, and I don't think Eric does not look like someone who would not be manscaping and wearing a speedo. That's my take. And I also think Rogue would not be up for that, right? She'd be like, "You got to clean that up, Eric. Come on." Bastion was shaving him. He was. But I don't know if he had to maybe do too much. Maybe just some like maintenance work. Harley Quinn where they had Dick do thirst trap pics. Oh my goodness. Again, this has taken a turn that who knew that this was what we were going to be talking about today? Because I certainly didn't. Anyone have any other thoughts on this episode, what we're going to see moving forward, or on the Magneto Speedo, right? Bastion, I mean, he shaved all he could. Yeah. He I'm sure he did. I mean, Eric didn't look too hairy being all chained up there. That's for sure. Any other thoughts though? I unfortunately probably need to be ending this relatively soon. I appreciate each and every one of you coming here. This has been literally the best live stream thus far. Thank you all for coming, even if you only came for a little bit or you were here the entire time. I appreciate it. Rogue was asleep the whole time. We'll wake up like, oh, she definitely will. She definitely will. I think she's going to be more mad of all the people who have seen Magneto in his speedo. Randy, I appreciate it if you do rewatch. Um, but yeah, no real predictions. I have no predictions either. I don't know much more on the comic history, like building up to this. Um, so I just Mo is correct. She's gonna show up like Goku after being wished back to life. That is for damn sure. I want to see Rogue porting around and using Wolverine's bone claws. That would be great. Um, but yeah, thank you all for coming. Again, this is definitely not me like wanting to talk at you. This is way more all about us talking together about this, as evidenced by the Speedo talk. Um, yeah, I agree, Randy. Like going in blind, the shock is that much more amplified. Totally agree, Mo. Thank you for coming. Thanks for all your thoughts, input. This was such a great live stream. Again, the plan is to do this next week until this show's over. I will probably do one the week that Assembled releases, which I'm assuming is going to be Wednesday as well, the following. Um, and then after that, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to figure it out because I feel like I can't not live stream now. Um, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. But the plan is to keep doing this. Hopefully, my kiddo is no longer sick into next week. Let's hope not. And then we'll do it on Wednesday. At least that's the plan. There's always comics. That is kind of the plan. That's what I'm thinking about, Polly. I'm planning on talking about comics live stream wise. That is probably the fail. I don't want to say fail safe, but like the next thing. Look, just make it a thing forever. I will. I'm for it. Watch out for your kid drawing sentinels. Yeah. If your kid drawing sentinels and is, making it whatever, I forget the title again, but we have a mass destruction of a race of mutants. We cannot have you talk to your child. Talk to your child. Maybe have them get some help or get some help for your child, right? Kids like humanity first. So, it's still ironic to me, man. It's still it's still ironic to me, Polly, that I said this earlier that like human is not Bastion is not human from my understanding. He's kind of like a hybrid, right? Kind of like hybrid cyborg, maybe from my understanding, a mutant, but not a mutant. Anyway, he's not even a human and he wants the best for these, right? Like it's like almost like Hitler, right? Like we have a pure race of these blonde, oh my goodness, blonde, blue-eyed people, and yet he's not even one of them. And now he's turning all of these humans to make them be, the dominant race, and they're not even going to be human anymore. Eh, It's just ironic. But he wasn't human in the comics. Okay. Thank you, Meg. My Adventures with Superman is coming up. Nice. I might have to check that out. I am I'm not my goodness. May 25th. There you go. I have not ventured into DC or like Superman stuff, not because I don't like it. I generally like Marvel stuff more. Something about DC and like their stuff just doesn't attract me. I don't know what it is. I haven't necessarily given them a try though, so I shouldn't necessarily say that. I've also was like, Marvel is just like way too big of a universe for me to understand. I don't need to be getting into two different like comic runs and like trying to learn all this stuff. I'm going to do a free comic book day stream. I thought about that, Claude, quite possibly. I am thinking about doing like comic live streams, like my weekly pickups, and just like talk about what other people picked up. Um, to just like to go about it. Like after this ended, but now most pointing me to. I got to go back up in the chat now. It's already gone. Adventures with Superman. I'll have to check that out. Mo, what is that on? What is? Excuse me. What is Adventures with Superman on? Blonde-eyed, blue-haired as possible. There's an ad that Marvel ran in their comics in the late 80s. Looks like a missing child ad, and it says it's 1987. Do you know what your child is? Nice. Oh, I like that idea, Meg. Can we do a thing where we recommend a comic or show you try, and then you do a live to discuss what you think? Also, no prior Max. Okay, I might have to get some Max then. It's a Cartoon Network show for your weirdos with cable. Yeah, I don't have cable. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Can we? I like that idea, Meg. I do like that idea. Can we do a thing where we recommend a comic or show you, and then like do a live discussion about it? I like that. Also, The Boys is coming up. I have not watched any seasons of The Boys, and I've heard it's good. I do need to do it. I'm also just like, I need to. There's too many things that I want to watch, and anyone with a kid knows that's just like, if you can get an episode of something in, I know. I'm sorry, Mo. I haven't watched it. Anyone with kids, especially little kids, I'm just like, man, do not watch in front. No, if I watch anything in front of my daughter, it's like, it's not even anything because she just wants to turn on Miss Rachel. That's all she wants to turn on. So there's that. Anything that I do watch though is after she has gone to sleep, because otherwise she's just like, I want to see the screen. I'm like, you've seen the screen too much already, kid. We've gotta not show you more screen time. You've already seen too much. Um, we've tried just like other animated stuff with her. It's growing on her. Like I have little blocks of like animated Spidey stuff with her. She likes those, but it's just she hasn't done she isn't totally into animation stuff yet. We've tried to watch a movie with her, and it's just not it doesn't hold her attention long enough. She's in it for like 10 minutes, but like sit her in front of freaking Miss Rachel and she'll sit there for hours. My son loves Spidey. He's 5. Yeah. I'm just waiting for my daughter. I feel like she's just got to get a little bit older to be interested in some of these things. She's just not quite there yet. The Boys is great. It's also violent and vulgar AF. It's also smart and insightful. I've heard good things. There's no reason that I haven't watched it besides time. And I just keep getting all these other things. Like I want to watch Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and I'm like, I got to sit down and watch this. And then I'm like, I don't have time right now to watch this. I just have too much stuff going on. And when I do, it's like one episode, and I also just like fall asleep. I'm like, I pass out, and I'm like, God dang it, I passed out. Well, I'll figure out the idea on yeah. I figured Moon Girl would be fun. I just want to watch it because people have said it's been great, right? Like I want to watch it. There's just too many things. Like I want to go back and watch like I haven't watched all of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I'm like on an animation kick right now. And I'm just like, damn, there's too much stuff. Like I want to go back and watch Daredevil. There's too many things. Moon Girl needs more love. It's great for Marvel fans. Like yeah, exactly. I've heard too many good things about it, and I'm just like, I need to watch it. It's just too good. There's too many there really are. Between reading comics, watching stuff, trying to like I basically freelance, so I'm pretty much in charge of my own money. So there's work, trying to do YouTube. There's just way too much things. Too many things. And I watched Marvel Reader. My son got me into Moon Girl, and I watched the whole thing without him. Nice. I will figure out a plan though after X-Men 97 ends for more live streaming. This is just too much fun to not keep doing. I truly enjoy it, and like having everyone here in this like little community that we're building is just like way too much fun to just be like, I'll see you until season 2 starts. I can't. I just can't not. I can't do that. It's too much. But I will figure that idea out. Maybe we'll venture into some other show. Or it'll be comics. I do like your idea, Meg, if you're still here. I love that idea of like trying out a comic and reading it or whatever. I've honestly thought of like doing a comic book club, right? Where like we can all decide on like maybe we're like, oh, we're gonna read this issue or whatever, right? And then just like come on in and talk about it. Whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Or we can just live chat and vibe. There's also that, right? I mean, I will suggest that the next time you schedule the live streams, send out notifications, schedule the live stream. I did try to schedule it. I didn't know how that would work out. So we'll send out notifications 30 minutes in advance. I do thank you, Mo, for that. I did not know that it would do that. I just assumed it would whenever I did it. I haven't scheduled them out generally. And I thought it was going to start. I had it scheduled like 5 minutes before, but I thought it was just going to like auto start recording. So I like sat there for a little bit. I was like, I guess I have to hit go live. Even though it says like it would go on at 2:15. These are all the things that I still don't know YouTube wise, but yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone coming in. Thank you so much. I do want to keep this going. This is a great little community. By far the best live stream yet. This was so much fun, and it just can't not end. So we will figure it out. I will take any and all suggestions because again, this is not about me of necessarily what I just want to do. This is like everyone here. And I obviously want this to be fun for everyone. So I appreciate y'all so much. But with that, I do need to go. I hope everyone has a great, wonderful day, a great week, and then we'll see you. You can go live in multiple platforms at once. I do know that. I got to get on that StreamYard life. But I will see everyone on Threads in like 5 minutes probably. And then we'll see you next week. That is the plan. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Thank you for coming. Peace.